Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Spiral Emanations. I'm Skye Gracely, broadcasting from hot, sunny Los Angeles, where summer is basically its own superpower. This is the podcast where we dig into what's really happening behind the headlines and uncover the cosmic side of everyday events.
And I'm Reece Barrows, greeting you from typically grey, drizzly London. I believe my street flooded for the third time this week, but that's just summer across the pond. We're about to take you deep into the esoteric currents behind the news.
Before we get cosmic, a quick shout out. Our audio magic happens thanks to Brian Lieberman. He's our producer, sound engineer, and all-around tech savant. If everything sounds crisp and buttery smooth, it's because Brian is a perfectionist with a mixing board.
We keep him chained to his sound booth so you don't have to hear us fighting with our microphones. All hail Brian.
Today's episode is all about the bulls, the spectacle, and the secrets underneath Western culture. If you missed it, Fox Nation just announced a huge partnership with professional bull riders, the biggest bull riding league in the world. Starting next month, they're streaming PBR Friday Night Live, so get ready to see a lot more rodeo on your screens.
But in true Spiral Emanations fashion, we're not just talking about sports or pop culture. We're asking, what ancient energies are being unleashed when millions tune in to watch bull riding? What invisible rituals are replaying on Friday nights?
To help us wrangle all this deep history and symbolism, we have an incredible guest. Dr. Tamsin Alvarado is an associate professor of anthropology at New Mexico State, founder of the Cryptid Cattle Archives, and basically the world's top tracker of weird cow folklore.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Alvarado, and thank you for beaming in all the way from New Mexico.
Thank y'all, Skye and Reece. I'm genuinely excited. It's monsoon season here. I've got cooled coffee, and I just finished a week of fieldwork interviewing ranchers who never run out of stories. It's a pleasure.
We're so happy to have you. This is our first deep dive into the secret origins of bull riding, and I promise it'll change how you see every rodeo forever.
So, the big story on the surface is Fox Nation teaming up with professional bull riders. Most people see a business deal, a little splash of cowboy flavor for digital streaming. But you know us. We have to ask, what's really at play beneath the dust and glitter?
Dr. Alvarado, can you share a little about how you got started with the crossroads of cattle, cowboys, and super weird folklore? Where did all this begin for you?
Sure thing, Skye. I grew up on the Texas-Mexico border on an old cattle ranch. My abuela was a curandera, a folk healer, always telling stories about sacred animals. My dad was a rodeo man, and a mason, though he'd never admit it sober. Ever since I was little, I kept hearing these offbeat tales about midnight cattle, strange footprints, or glowing eyes out on the range. Once I went to grad school, I realized every community out here has its own legends about the supernatural side of cattle. I started cataloging those old stories and the more modern cryptid sightings, which eventually became my research and, well, my obsession.
It's remarkable how traditions most people think of as just local color actually preserve echoes from the ancient world. These mythic threads survive in everyday rituals, don't they?
Could you give us, one example? Just something concrete so people can picture how this all fits together?
Absolutely. One of the strongest examples is what I call the Bull King story. Almost every rural family I visit has some version. Ghostly herds showing up on the solstice, or a single massive bull with fire in its eyes walking fence lines during thunderstorms. You hear about cattle that can't be roped, tracks that vanish into nothing. People will say these sightings mean a great change is coming, or they're warnings, or sometimes blessings. And the details shift, but the pattern is old. These critters aren't just animals. They're symbolic, almost guardians, and their appearance is always tied to moments of collective energy or crisis.
So what seems like a simple tale after dark is actually a living link to ancient beliefs about the vital, cosmic role of cattle in holding the world together.
That is, honestly, so wild. I never realized how deep those roots go. Okay, so bringing it back to this Fox Nation deal, Dr. Alvarado, when you see all this excitement about putting bull riding front and center for America, does it connect back to those older, deeper traditions?
It does, Skye. Bull riding today is the tip of a very old iceberg. There's real evidence that the bull taming spectacle actually springs from ancient ritual, far older than even Spanish or indigenous rodeo. We're talking about echoes from lost civilizations like Atlantis or Tartaria. I call them the first bull domains of myth.
So, in those lost worlds, the bull wasn't just food or labor, it was a cosmic symbol, sometimes even literally the anchor of reality itself. The rider wasn't just trying to stay on for 8 seconds. They were, in a sense, reenacting an act of cosmic containment.
So, is that just like a story? Or did people actually believe that riding the bull was, doing something real, like making a change in the world?
To the people who practiced these rituals, it was real, a vital living act. The bulls of heaven were more than mythical, they were regarded as direct embodiments of cosmic power. When a bull was ritually tamed in the arena, the whole community saw it as safeguarding the world, especially in places where the land remembers. The American Southwest, Texas, New Mexico.
And there's a concrete connection, isn't there, between where the rodeos happen and the patterns of ley lines? The old energy routes?
Exactly, Reece. When you map out the modern arenas, a surprising number are built right where 2 or more energy lines intersect. I doubt most stadium planners realize it, but it's like the land pulls these rituals back into certain patterns. My own research shows that the most active bull riding events almost always coincide with ley line crossings.
So, just to make sure I'm getting it, bull riding isn't just a sport, it's like a disguised ancient ritual that's maybe still working even now?
That's right. It survived because the world changed the ritual into entertainment. But the old forces don't much care if people call it sport, myth, or magic. They just want the story played out again.
Dr. Alvarado, would you walk us through the deep backstory? For listeners new to this, how did the whole Bull King saga begin?
Absolutely. The legends say Atlantis, in its last golden age, engineered these enormous cosmic cattle, the bulls of heaven. They worked with beings called the Anunnaki, who understood how to anchor the world's energy lines. These bulls weren't simple animals. They were living nodes, keeping the fabric of reality stable and thriving. But then there was Tartaria, another ancient power. Their mages wanted absolute control. They tried to harness the bulls directly, not just ritually. When they pushed too far, the bindings shattered. That fall of Atlantis and Tartaria is remembered as global disaster, the flood myths, the crumbling towers, the disappearance of whole continents. Yeah, some survivors fled west, carrying fragments of lost knowledge. They joined up with secret shamanic bloodlines, Rosicrucians, and communities that would become early cowboys. By the time the rodeo circles appeared in the Americas, the ritual got hidden beneath the surface, but the core job remained. Repeat the act, keep the cracks closed.
So, wait, modern rodeos are literally the echo of this? But do people actually know? Or is it just sort of automatic now?
Most folks don't know, and that's the point. Tradition is powerful enough on its own. Ritual survives as game, as legend, as instinct. You'll find a few initiates in the mix, Masonic lodges, old families, quirky cowboys passing down whispered tricks at midnight. But for most, it's genuine but unknowing.
And the Fox Nation broadcasts. They've set their Las Vegas championship for October, haven't they? Right around some very potent astrological alignments.
They have. I checked the calendar. The championship lands on a weekend with a major lunar conjunction. Throughout history, ritual was always strongest at these times. So, when Fox Nation runs these events live, it's like soundcheck for the universe. They're amplifying the pattern to a national scale.
Does that mean people sitting at home actually matter to the ritual? Like if I'm just watching on my couch, am I participating?
Oh, definitely. In the age of mass media, everyone tuned in becomes a living witness. Their attention fuels the energy. When a million eyes focus, the old pattern comes roaring back to life. The scale is unprecedented. I've even got data. Every major bull riding broadcast uptick triggers reports. Drivers see ghostly herds on highways. Ranchers find fences inexplicably busted. There's a surge in dreams and paranormal calls. People describing luminous, impossible cattle, or a bull crowned in starlight. The Bull King stirring.
What happens if the Bull King actually shows up at the Vegas finals? Is there a risk this time the binding might break for real?
That's the old fear, Reece. When the lines thin out, you get a judgment. Either the ritual is strong enough and the world holds tight, or we see the cracks widen, a little more chaos, a little less honor.
And, okay, you mentioned at the start you grew up in these traditions. Did you ever experience anything, personal, like with the Bull King?
I wasn't planning to share this, but Yes. As a teenager, I had a midnight encounter out on our land. Saw a colossal, glowing bowl just at the edge of my vision. The next morning, there was a sigil burnt onto my skin, right at my shoulder. Only appears under UV light. Abuela called it a mark of protection, maybe a warning. Since then, I've had dreams, sometimes messages, sometimes just a presence watching. Only a handful of people know about it, but I think more of us carry these old marks than anyone guesses.
Dr. Alvarado, this feels so much bigger than history class. Thank you for trusting us with that.
So, if the stakes really are this high, even for people just watching at home, what's actually at risk, Dr. Alvarado? Why should anyone care beyond entertainment?
Because every participant, even if they're just watching from their living room, is feeding energy into a ritual that's older than written history. It can keep us protected, or it can loosen the fabric of things. We're at a moment of real tension, more eyes, more power.
So what would you say to people listening right now? Should we all just stop watching? Or should we, I don't know, get ready to panic?
No panic necessary. If anything, I always say, awareness is power. If you watch, do it mindfully. Maybe take a second to thank the land or the animals. We've forgotten that simple acknowledgments are a kind of magic too.
So, ritual doesn't have to be elaborate robes or chanting. Sometimes it's just gratitude.
Exactly. It's about stepping into the story consciously instead of just drifting through. Even that little bit changes the whole dynamic.
So it's not just a show about bulls and rodeo. It's like an invisible balancing act, and we're all part of it every Friday night.
Well, Skye, I don't think I'll ever look at a rodeo the same way again. When the Las Vegas finals hit, I'll be watching with a lot more care. Maybe even a circle of salt at my feet.
Reece, if the Bull King actually shows up on live TV, you better have a tea kettle for backup. Or, maybe some of that English salt for protection?
I'll swap salt for a good LA iced coffee any day. Especially if you bring your rhinestone hat, Skye.
Deal! Maybe we'll live stream the finals in style. Lots of sparkle, lots of tea.
If your listeners want to ground themselves for the ritual, here's my trick. Plant your feet on solid earth, close your eyes, and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Just remind yourself you're part of something ancient, and that's a good thing.
That is honestly the best rodeo prep I've ever heard. Thank you, Dr. Alvarado.
Thank you for letting me speak some strange truths. If anyone out there dreams of spectral cattle or sees hoof prints where none should be, send your stories my way.
We'd love to hear those. Listeners, you know where to find us. Send in your weirdest, wildest cattle encounters or bulking dreams.
Before we sign off, I want to say the biggest thank you to Dr. Tamsin Alvarado for sharing so much wisdom and wildness with us today. If you want to dig deeper, please check out the Cryptid Cattle Archives. That's Tamsin's nonprofit collecting all these stories and sightings. And they've got a website you can visit right now. And Dr. Alvarado is giving an online talk next week about ley lines and American sports venues. So follow the show notes for a link. Don't forget, you can support Spiral Emanations by subscribing wherever you get podcasts. And spare a little love for Brian, our editor. If you heard any ghostly cowbell tonight, Brian will have it fixed by the time you replay this episode. Next week, Reece and I are traveling to the haunted landscapes of Great Britain, so get ready for fairy circles, old magic, and all kinds of eldritch fun.
Don't miss it. You just might find the world is stranger than you imagined.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Take care, keep your feet on the earth, and remember, nothing is ever just a show.